Pardon me, but did President Trump just suggest he might pardon Diddy? If Diddy is convicted, of course. Well, his comments are raising a lot of eyebrows this morning as the rap mogul's sex trafficking trial heats up. Vikas Bajaj is a criminal defense attorney and federal litigator. Vic, wonderful to see you this Saturday morning. This has been a tough trial to listen to at times. What do you make of the case that the prosecution has so far laid out, Vic?
The prosecution is methodical in this case, Jonathan. They are laying out the individual acts of violence, of kidnapping, of arson, of assaults, of sexual assaults. But primarily the global goal here for the prosecution is to lay out a theory of manipulation, control, coercion, duress. And I believe they're doing a very good job at it. See, the defense in a case like this, Jonathan, has to really walk a fine line, dance on thin ice, as they say, because they have to both cross-examine these witnesses and bring out inconsistencies to attack their credibility. But at the same time, they can't do that too much because it's a double-edged sword. The prosecution has called a very important and believable, credible witness, letting the jury know about how victims of domestic violence, of sexual abuse, of labor trafficking have really a dual personality. On one hand, it's love and adoration for the abuser. On the other hand, it's a deep, dark hole that they have to suffer in, many times alone. So the defense has their work cut out for them. You know, you never count your chickens before they hatch. And I think the methodical presentation by the prosecution and furtherance of this RICO charge may end up being a very difficult task for Sean Combs to overcome, Jonathan.
But his defenders will say, including his lawyers, obviously, he's a bad guy, yes. He's a domestic abuser, yes. He was violent towards assistants, girlfriends, etc., etc. But have you proved racketeering and sex trafficking against this guy? Not easy charges to get to, Vic.
You've honed in on the exact issue regarding tap dancing on thin ice. The defense might be well served to pull back a little bit, Jonathan, on the cross-examination of these individual domestic violence, labor trafficking victims presented by the prosecution. Why would they pull back and not be so aggressive in their cross-examination? Because by picking apart the little inconsistencies, they are putting that specific act of domestic violence or sexual assault at issue. Whereas it may be better thought out to say, hey, we admit he did these things. We admit he made people work after hours and forced them and coerced them. We admit the domestic violence, Jonathan, but what we don't admit is that the connection between each one of these provable offenses reaches the conclusion of a RICO elevated enterprise conspiracy. So this is the tap dancing that the defense attorneys have to do in a case like this, maybe make a strategic advantage of pulling back on the cross-examination on these sympathetic witnesses so they don't lose track of the goal, which is, yes, it's all true, but it's not a RICO conspiracy.
Vic, I want to get to new developments in that really bizarre crypto kidnapping and torture case in New York City. Two NYPD detectives, including one who apparently serves on Mayor Eric Adams' security detail, reportedly placed on modified duty as authorities look into their apparent links to the case. And investigators say one of them had been doing private security on the side and drove one of the suspects from the airport to the townhouse where the alleged crime took place. Meanwhile, the other detective believed to have been working with both captors in an unauthorized capacity. It's a truly bizarre case, this one, Vic. Where does it go legally speaking, do you believe?
Bizarre is one of the many adjectives. Scary, threatening. I mean, imagine having cryptocurrency or even a bank account and somebody holds you, tortures you for multiple days to get that access to your money. Yes, it is eye-opening, it's bizarre, but where does it go from here? You know, I could bet that the U.S. attorney in New York is looking at this and saying, boy, I need to wipe the saliva off of my face because I can't wait to get these detectives in the hot seat. Let's not forget, this right now is a state investigation, but there is dual sovereignty, Jonathan, which means the federal agencies can and will look at this. Why would they look at it? The legal future is this. If the federal government gets a hold of these defendants, which they will, and suspects at this point, the two 20-plus year veterans of the police department suspects, they're going to ask them, hey, you know what? Are you willing to play ball here? Because you're looking at life in prison because of these kidnapping for robbery, kidnapping for ransom charges. By the way, and this is a trick that every federal agent and every federal prosecutor does, Jonathan, this is the question you hate to have your client asked. If you help us, you have to tell us about anything else you may know. So this is going to be the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah. Vic, it is always so good to see you. Thank you. And you win suit of the day. I love those lapels. Vic Bajaj, great to see you.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you, Vic.